Hey y'all, so this is episode 10 of season 19, Married at First Sight, called Retreat and Defeat. So this is where the couples go to a retreat. And if you're new here to this Married at First Sight show, and uh and it's like your first season watching, basically what happens is pretty much since like maybe season 9 or 10, um the couples, um about 2 weeks before decision day, they go on a retreat, and it's always somewhere local, and this just happens to be on Lake Travis. um I mean, depending on where you are in Austin, that could be anywhere from like 30 minutes to 45. For me, it might be more of maybe an hour or so, depending on which way I go. Because I could I think more or less go east and then go south a little bit. So that might be um, the best like path for me. But for someone like squarely in Austin, it could be depending on traffic, because if it's rush hour, like between the hours of 7 and 9 in the morning, it could be, you know, closer to like an hour maybe. Um, uh, Rush hours also from for like 4 to 6 usually in the evening. So if it's any of those two types of rush hours, it could take like a solid hour, depending on where you are. Um, I think they're in the like literal heart of downtown Austin, or close to it, because that's what they tend to do, is they tend to be in the thick of it. So they could potentially have. I'm thinking they left more towards like 4 or 5 ish, or they could have gone like like closer to like noon or something, but I don't know. It was still daylight out, so I was assuming maybe they went more closer to 4 or 5, but um, yeah, it's just so they go essentially to Lake Travis. Um, it's let's look at the map here, because I usually don't go to Lake Travis at all, so I have no idea. Um, it's maybe, yeah, it's maybe a good 45 minutes, maybe an hour. If you leave from like little downtown Austin, um, because they have to go on a certain way. Excuse me, a certain. There's only so many ways to get there, so it just they'd have to like go up and then go west. But yeah, that's where they um decide to go. I don't think they went too deep into Lake Travis, but um yeah, so apparently Pat and Austin, or not Pat and Austin, Pat and Rhonda didn't go on the retreat. I guess because they had a family, like Rhonda had a family reunion thing going on, that they had already planned, I guess, months in advance, and before she was on Married at First Sight. So they um they don't go. That's not to say they don't have any scenes in this episode, but it just didn't happen at the retreat. So I mean, I'm gonna really just talk about two couples here. So I'm gonna touch a little bit on the other couples, but I'm not gonna like pull their pictures or anything. But Megan and Derek, they're the ones that get there first, and on since they're the first ones we see, Derek is talking about how since it's still early in the pregnancy, they haven't really gone to a doctor to kind of get an ultrasound yet. So they're gonna wait a few weeks in order um, get an ultrasound and I guess 100% confirm the pregnancy and all that. Um, and really not much is going on with them. I mean, these pull little pranks on everyone um, since they wanted to get there early and all that, and um, they put fake toilet paper in the bathrooms and put uh, cat noises into the bedrooms and all that. So that's the only thing mentioned for them. Jalen and Josh, they arrived second, and they pretty much straight away get into an argument about how I don't even really understand like what the hell they were even arguing about. Something about um I didn't understand. Like Josh was saying, I didn't understand what you meant by community, and it, and she was like, uh, I just want you to listen to me and like just say such and such. I don't even know. I didn't care enough to really pay that close attention because like was Will and Brittany and Pat and Rhonda and Megan and Derek is just a yo. At this point, they're like a yo-yo with they have ups and then they're back down because the yo-yo's going all the way down to the ground. Like it's at this point, it's just I don't know. I didn't care enough to really go into detail about or like remember what the fuck they were talking about. So um I know it's a little callous. I just they were exhausting me along with everybody else at this point. So I'm trying to keep this under like 30 minutes at this point because ah anyway, so Chad and Belinda they arrived third, and again, not much is going on with them. Chad is the cook in the house, um, and they really like one of their first scenes was um, what did she say? She brought up something about like painting, or what the 'cause I think he had asked her what her favorite color was, and she was like, I like black. I mean, but do you mean when you say what your favorite color is, do you mean like painting, or do you mean like clothing, or do you mean like makeup? Like I don't know. Again, um, just really not something that I cared because they're not really talking of anything of substance. I mean, they're talking about stuff, but I mean, at this point, they're just coasting and going with the flow and being the fun couple. And I'm like, do I really care? I mean, the only time we really saw anything of note was when she wouldn't discipline her dog and he would just bark his head off and that was it. And Chad blowing up at the producers that one night, and that's literally about it. So I don't really care. um uh but um I do think that Will and Brittany are one of the two couples who had anything of note this episode because most of the episode was about Will and Brittany. And a little side note is um, Pat and Rhonda. But basically, Will, Brittany, Megan, and Derek decided to go play pickleball, and we see in a solo confessional that Will says that Brittany was he picked up on Brittany's emotions earlier that morning and how he felt something was off, but he didn't want to um, come to her and say anything, and he wanted to give her space. Um, but kind of side note, I think maybe that would have probably been a good thing to do is like say, hey, is there anything wrong? And if there is there anything I can help to ease your emotions and calm me down or anything like that? Maybe that's the best time to do it. But he's refusing to do so. And that's her whole issue, that he's refusing to say anything that might annoy him or that he thinks might be a concern, and he's just refusing. He's just refusing. And I just yeah, I don't at first, with this whole scene, I was a little annoyed with Brittany just because at this point I'm like, girl, you're gonna need to pick up that he's just not that into you, because I really don't think he's that into her. I don't, because and it was sort of evidenced throughout the episode when she was talking to everyone, talking to other people, specifically, you know, Belinda, after the whole pickleball game, that he has no issues opening up to Chad. And even Belinda's noticed. Um, and Belinda is suggesting that Will has nothing to prove with Chad, and that's why he's opening up to Chad a lot easier. Um, I mean, I think the issue is that he he seems like the type to take a long time and to open up to people, and that's when people normally are. Because I know I'm like that. The issue where the issue comes in is that this is an accelerated process. You're going to have to open up. It's gonna hurt, and if you may not like it, but you're going to have to open up, and you can't just you're not. He's not in a relationship with Chad. He's in a relationship with Brittany, and the whole point of this process is to do something that you just you know that the way you did things before in a relationship haven't worked out, and so he's trying to do something new, or you're trying to do something new. That's like I said in literally in episode 9, he's not there because everything else he's tried just hasn't worked. He is just he just doesn't like the fact that all of his friends are married off, and he's the only single friend out of his family or out of his friend group. And so he's only there because he doesn't want to feel like the third, fifth, seventh, ninth, 11th wheel in his friend group, however many friends he has. And he doesn't want to go to another like dinner party, and he's the only, you know, um, single guy there. And I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that he keeps getting asked by his friends, when are you gonna settle down? When are you gonna settle down? When are you gonna settle down? Like, and he's getting tired of it. So he's not necessarily ready to settle down, but he's getting tired of getting asked when he's gonna be settling down. So of course, like, to get people off his back, he just went and did this show, because now he doesn't have to put any effort into finding, like, going through the dating process and um uh, trying to discern um, if this is the right person for him or not. He wants to cut the middleman. He wants to cut that out for him and just have someone pick him for it. Like at that point, you might as well just pay a matchmaker, because at least then you're actually thinking about you as a person and what you look for and how you operate, and they can do a better job at matching you, because in this process everything is accelerated, even the application process. So at least I imagine so. um because I mean, at the very least, with the matchmaker, if the person that they match you with doesn't necessarily pan out, you can still try to improve on what you are looking for. And there's no end date of when you're supposed to be getting married. Like you're not supposed to be getting married in um say 2 weeks, as opposed to you can get married whenever you want with a matchmaker. So yeah. um let's see. So yeah, I mean, this whole thing is making Brittany think, you know, um, did he just not like me? And honestly, I just don't think so. I mean, I'm sorry, Brittany. I was hoping that this will work out for you. I just do not think that he's into you, because he can open up with everybody else, but he can't open up with you. Um, and this is also where I kind of disagree with Belinda here too. Is just that she also stated, that um, uh, Will just needs to learn how to show her how she wants to be loved. And while I do agree with that, the problem is everyone else is trying to learn how to make their stranger spouse feel loved, and learn how to take care of them emotionally and physically and mentally and all that. They're learning how to do that. It's not an easy process. It really isn't. The problem is Will's looking like he's refusing to do so, because it's been over a month and he hasn't really made any. It doesn't seem like he's made any real progress, because he's still clamping down and not talking or anything. That's the issue that we're seeing. And unfortunately, I mean, Brittany's just not. She's not seeing it, and because everyone else can see it, but him. Everyone else can see it, but him, because he's not stupid. He's not a dunce cap wearing idiot. So, I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. So why is it so hard for him to grasp this and to honestly work at showing love that she wants to be shown to her? Because I mean, uh, at this point, it's just she keeps asking, and then he's not doing it, and it's at this point, it's getting tiresome. It's getting tiresome, because she keeps asking. And it's like, at this point, girl, read the room, because clearly he doesn't want. Like, if he's not doing anything, it's 2 weeks before decision day. He's not gonna get any better, and it's not gonna get any better. It's not gonna get any better when decision day comes, and it's not gonna get any better after decision day, and it, like, gets here and is done and over with. So at this point, like, please read the room. He clearly doesn't want to be with you. Just let it go and let it flow, and just. But unfortunately, based on the previews, it's not gonna look that, like, she's gonna take the hint, because I don't know. Um, Anyway, so yeah, so when they're having this, couples dinner, um everyone tries to sort of get Will to see um that what Brittany's trying to say, and he still doesn't get it. He's still talking like he'd rather eat glass than do what they're suggesting. And at this point, just say no right now, because this is getting I'm getting irritated for the both of them, especially for Will. Uh, so while everyone's talking, trying to get Will to understand, Brittany's crying, and eventually she gets up and goes to the bathroom and starts full on crying, snot nose crying, and sobbing and all that stuff in the bathroom. So again, she says in a soul confessional that everyone can get it, but Will, even though he's a smart guy. So it's baffling her how he just doesn't get it. And so she's like, well, maybe she's just not as a person. It's like, please listen to that, because she said earlier, like once the pickle game, ended, that she was feeling like he just doesn't like her. And usually people's intuitions about stuff are rarely ever wrong. It's just the fact whether or not they believe their intuition is a whole other story, because a lot of people tend to not believe it, and so therefore they put the blinders on, even though the intuition is 100% correct and they should have left a long time ago. And this is what I'm saying, like, girl, listen to that intuition, because I'm telling you, it's not wrong. There's no way this man likes you, and you need to just go. Exit stage left, please. I'm begging you at this point, because it's painful to watch. Like, you deserve better. You really do. You deserve better. And clearly this guy's just refusing to do what he can to show you the love that you like to be shown. So I'm just like, there's only so much time you can take to make something work. So yeah. The other couple that I wanted to touch on, because they seem to have um, a a lot, a little bit of a storyline here, is Pat and Rhonda. So on their own sort of retreat with her family, um, she explained, because I think they had gone to, um, what was it? Can't remember. Marble Falls. I think I saw in there that they went to Marble Falls. So it's a little further east of Austin, or I think Horseshoe Bay or Marble Falls, or both. But yeah, so while they're there, basically, Pat had revealed that he bought concert tickets, and that she didn't know about. And so, because it wasn't on the calendar, she was annoyed by the fact that he just didn't say anything. Um, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because he was trying to surprise her. Yes, what he could have done was he could have um, said, "Hey, um, do you have anything planned for the specific day?" He doesn't have to say what, like, he could say, "I have a surprise for you," and not give specifics. But and he could then have then said, "Do you have anything planned for this day? Because I wanted to take you on a little surprise, a little adventure, on a little adventurous date. Um, and I just want you to clear a calendar for that time period, so that way I can take you on this date." So maybe he could have done that. And I'm not gonna hold, like, if I'm not gonna hold her for that. It's just, I feel like she is just harping on him, just to harp on him at this point, because maybe he just wanted to surprise her for a little, like surprise her on a date or something. Um, and it's just he can't win for losing at this point. Um, and there was a moment when they were talking about it and they're going into a store where he, as they're trying to talk about it, he ends up watched in like mid sentence. He leaves, supposedly leaves once they get right inside the door of the store, and he goes straight to the cashier and asks, "Or where is this specific item that we're trying to look for?" And I don't know. I feel perhaps we're not getting the full story from her because even when we actually see the disagreements, her solo confessionals always feel like there's something she's leaving out. So I'd rather hear his side of the story and then sort of try to see if I can understand if there's a middle ground or like a sort of middle ground to both of their stories instead of just taking her side because all we're hearing is her side and we don't have his. So uh, yeah, at this point, Rhonda, you're annoying me because everything he does gets on your nerves. um, and this is why I'm saying that you need to, that's why I said last review that you need to get a therapist because it just feels like she's always having an issue with him, whether it's because he's trying to relate to you in some way, um, with a story you shared, or you're always bringing up some sad toxic story about your father or your ex or one of your exes, and it's just draining. That sort of stuff is just draining. So I just please seek help, Rhonda, if you're listening to this, because at this point I'm getting tired. We're all getting tired. So um basically that was the entire episode. I did kind of write down a little bit of the previews for the next um, three episodes. I mean, I know only two are dropping next week, but episodes 11, 12, and 13 are going to be more of the season, and then 14 is the reunion. So that's why I said next three. But basically, we see Megan talking to Derek about how they um, shouldn't necessarily stay together just because she happens to be pregnant. And I assume that means that was a conversation they had before decision day, like right before one of the conversations. And I do agree with that because look what happened with Belinda. She was getting treated on left, right, and center, excuse me, by her husband, her first husband, and um he they were only there, at least Belinda was only there because of kids, and she didn't leave until they were at least almost finished with college, if not completely out of college. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, if they can't find common ground to stay together outside of that child that Megan is pregnant with, they really shouldn't be together. They really shouldn't stay together. I really don't think so. I think they should um, not stay together just for the sake of the child because that never pans out because one person ends up feeling resentful at the very least, if not both of them. So don't stay together just because she happens to be carrying a child. Because if you're feeling like all the bad stuff outweighs the good things that you like about her, then yeah, like no, that's not gonna be a good thing to stay just because of the kid. Um, and then Brittany, we see Brittany saying "I love you" to Will on the couch, and in typical Will fashion, he says, "Well, what kind of love do you mean, my guy? Please, I am imploring you, please. You're not a freaking idiot. You're not an idiot. You know what kind of love she's talking about. Stop playing around." And this is what I was talking about last episode, where I think, or it's in one of the recaps, I feel like he's purposely trying to trigger her into a negative response because he doesn't like her. You don't keep doing that if you like somebody. I'm sorry. That is annoying as hell. Who in the world would want to continue dealing with something like that if you're constantly, like I said before, in a word, negging? Who wants to do that? Who wants to put up with that? Nobody. It's gonna get old and quick. And clearly you can see, because she in the preview, she's clearly annoyed by it, and you can say, "Oh, I'm just joking." It's like, well, you're not really joking because you're serious about it. There's always at least a tiny bit of truth in every single joke, and honestly, I think there's a whole lot of truth in every time that he quote unquote jokes around. So no, quit it. You're literally not a dunce cap wearing Mississippi, floating down the Mississippi River, bump on a log. You're not. So shut it. You're getting on my nerves. It's just okay. I'm just gonna end it here because at this point, he's getting on my nerves, and I'm gonna be here forever ranting and raving about him. So, um, yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of the first, like, say, day and a half of the retreat, because I think this was like a full day and they were only there for like 2 days supposedly. But let me know what you guys thought of the retreat as a whole. um who you think is going to make it and who you think is not going to make it, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.